Welcome to Conversations with Tom Shorkey. Conversations explores the past, the present, and the future of the communities in which we live through the eyes of interesting individuals. Now let's join our host, Tom Shorkey.
Welcome to Conversations. I'm your host for today's program, Tom Shorkey. Now, if you've watched the program in the past, you know we get a variety of individuals that have various aspects of our community involved. Today, we are going to talk to somebody who grew up in St. Clair on the corner of 7th and Trumbull. And he liked it so much that he went to work 2 blocks away and has never left after about 40 years. Our guest today is Chuck Currier, the owner of Silk's Floral. Glad to have you with us today, Chuck.
Glad to be here.
Tell us about growing up in 7th and Trumbull for people who aren't real familiar with our streets in St. Clair. Tell us about where you grew up.
Oh, it was a wonderful neighborhood, close to downtown. Go swimming in the river, just to get downtown. Great neighbors. A lot of them I graduated with. We grew up together.
Now, back when you were growing up, was the hospital still down the street?
Yes, 2 blocks down.
All right, we've got a lot of newcomers of the area. Tell them where the St. Clair Hospital was.
Well, was on the property where the museum is now. It was right, what would that be, Trumbull and 4th Street?
4th
Between
Street,
3rd and
possibly.
4th. Yep, so I was born there and my parents took me 2 blocks up and lived there for several years.
You talk about the acorn not falling too far from the tree.
That's right.
You were born in the old St. Clair Hospital, which then became the police station,
And
whatever,
the City Hall.
when
Yep,
River
City
District
Hall.
was built about 50 years ago.
Correct.
So you were born on the corner of like Trumbull and 4th. You moved 2 or 3 blocks up.
Correct.
Where you were, and all through high school, and you were a St. Clair High School grad, I understand.
Of course, yep.
What
Yep.
year? Tell us.
1975.
Oh, you're such a young guy.
Yeah.
And then, like most kids in St. Clair, you probably mowed a couple lawns or shoveled a little sidewalk. But
Correct.
at 16, what was your first job?
The first job was I was a foot checker at the city pool.
Foot
here in
checker.
town.
Tell
Yeah,
us what a foot
lifeguard.
checker does.
Well, we had to watch, everybody had to shower, of course, before they entered the pool. And then when they come, they had to lift their feet so we could look for athletics foot or any
boy.
type of disease. If they had cut grass with their shoes on, we had to make sure the grass stains were off. And
So did you actually ever find some athletes' feet or?
oh, sure.
Injuries or
We'd
whatever?
send them back in with the Comet can to clean their feet.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Sue Daniels ran a tight ship.
Well, Sue Daniels, and we've had Sue on the program in the past, but we won't even talk about what year that was at the outdoor pool. Then what'd you do?
And then I had a friend that worked at the flower shop delivering, and an opening came up, and I went and talked to Howard, and he hired me. So I started delivering.
How old were you when you first started?
16.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you started delivering flowers.
Correct. Yep.
You ended up working there full-time along the way?
I did. After a couple years, after I graduated, I tried a semester at community college, hated school, and an opening came up to move in. They needed a designer, so he gave me the opportunity, and I've been there ever since.
Well, Howard Silk was around town a long time. I remember from the old Rotary days.
Yep.
Was Silk's always on that corner?
No. There was originally the Roof Floral Company, and that was out at the end of where Adams Street dead end, where the Gearing School now sits. There's a big old farmhouse and greenhouses there. The Roof family owned it, and Howard worked for them. And then eventually he bought the retail end of it out, the St. Clair shop. And then when they first opened, his shop was down where Snips is, on J and 4th Street. And they were there for a couple years, and then they bought the building up on where we are now, on
And
9th
you're
and
on,
Clinton.
9th and Clinton.
Yep.
Now, you worked for Howard. Somewhere
Yes.
along the way, was it Howard's idea or your idea? He was going to retire and you thought you were a 30-year-old, 31-year-old hotshot that knew everything, so
Yep.
you thought you ought to buy the business.
And I did, you're correct. That's right. So I was fortunate to get it. So none of his children wanted it, and I had worked there all those years, and he knew I love it. I have a love for it. I still do.
Well, it's one of my questions when anyone stops in Silks Floral and your folks are working in the back, putting the arrangements together. Can you really teach somebody how to do that, or is it more of a gift, so to speak?
I think it's more of a gift. You really have to have the love for it and the knack, the eye,
Yeah.
to do it. I mean, you can try to teach, but it's like anything.
Yeah.
Either you have it or you don't. So.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. The floral business, I am sure, has changed considerably since, late 80s, 1988 or so, when you actually became the...
I bought it in 88.
Bought it in 88.
From Silks, yes.
So you've been the man over there for, what's that, almost 30 years, isn't it?
31 years.
31 years. How has the business changed in the last 30 years?
The competition, where you can buy flowers just about anywhere now. If you want. We got, I think the biggest thing is the internet. How we sell flowers now has changed terribly. It used to be people would just call and order an arrangement. They'd tell you if it's for funeral, birthday, new baby, whatever. But now you have to have the internet with all the pictures on it. So they want a number, the TF104 as opposed to whatever. So, you have to look that up and they all come with a special container or whatever, where before it was just, they left it up to you years ago. It was, you created whatever.
What percentage of your business would you say is internet related?
Oh gosh, 80.
Oh, really?
Oh, I would think so, sure. Yeah, every morning we go in and the orders are there. They come in during the night, and where before you'd be busy in the morning answering phones. People calling in, which we still are. There's still people that want to know what we have and that type of thing.
But, as we all remember the old days of floral shops, and as you said, Ruff's had their greenhouses out, which was on the outskirts of town where
Correct.
Gearing is now.
Yep.
I remember in Marine City, Amiel Floral, and they had like a whole block of greenhouses, and everybody grew their own supplies. Mm-hmm. Where do flowers come from today, Chuck?
They're mostly ours are from South America, or there's some California we get from. And they're shipped to our local wholesalers, and then they're brought to us on a truck daily.
Now, I had heard once upon a time that many of the roses used to come from Mount Clemens. I don't know, was it Mount Clemens Rose Garden?
Mount Clemens Rose Garden, North Gratiot Floral Supply. There was several down there.
And I talked to someone that was familiar with that business, and they said they couldn't compete anymore because all the roses were being grown in South America.
Yeah. And a lot of that, it costs thousands of dollars to heat those greenhouses and things. We're down there that they don't have that cost. The growing is cheaper.
So how does flowers grown in South America get from South America to Silks Floral, and how does that work, that they don't die en route, or are they so young when they send? How does that work, Chuck?
Well, of course, when they cut them, they're tight, and then what they do, they're packaged in so many stems per bunch. They're boxed. Basically, they're wilted. A lot of your mums and things, they deliberately wilt because for shipping purposes. Within a couple days, 3 days tops, they're at our door. They were usually shipped to Miami. Then Miami, they're sent out to the various wholesalers throughout the United States, which ours is Detroit, and then they're brought to us.
Wow. And then you bring them back to life.
We bring them back to life. Everything has to be cut. And we use warm water to get them to draw again. Most of our flowers we leave out all night to revive. And it's really interesting when you look at them, you think, oh, these poor dead things.
Yeah.
But they're just thirsty, and by the next morning they're just all, rehydrated.
Wow.
And ready to go.
That's pretty amazing. How about, you mentioned, we've always talked like the big box stores, but it seems like almost every grocery store, drugstore, guy standing on the corner by the freeway.
Gas
Everybody
station.
seems to be selling flowers.
They do.
There's got to be a difference.
Well, I feel
What's the difference in
Well,
your
like-
product and theirs?
it's kind of like take roses, for instance. There's different centimeter roses, different lengths you buy. If it's a short one, 30, 40 centimeter, they're usually short, and they're called seconds.
Okay.
The heads aren't fully developed or whatever. But we don't buy that type of thing. We buy your 50, 60 centimeter rose, which is usually 2 foot and up, and the head's fully developed. It just all comes down to the quality of it. Same with a carnation, a mum, whatever.
So if somebody for Valentine's Day wanted to get someone in their life a dozen long stem roses, that's what they're really going to get
Right.
from Silk's Floral, whereas somebody goes and grabs something at I won't name any of the big stores down the road, but they're probably a second or a little bit short. I mean, they'll probably do the job.
It could
for
be, and
most-
usually ours would be vased
Yeah.
in arrangement with your filler, your baby's breath or whatever, where usually the other part, they come pre-packaged. And you would either just buy the vase separate, put it together when you got it home yourself, where we design all of ours.
Would when people think about flowers, they think about the holidays.
Yes.
Now, I would think, this is my guess, and I'm not the flower guy. Christmas, Valentine's Day, Mother's Day. What works? What pays your bills of those three?
All three of them, really.
Yeah.
Christmas is extended through the course of the month of December. Anything after Thanksgiving, we're busy. Financially, that's probably the best because everybody, gift giving for everybody. And then Mother's Day is, and Valentine's Day, both, they all have to be done that day. So that's why it's so busy. You have extra delivery units on the road. But I'd say Mother's Day is probably the best. Everybody loves their mother. And,
No, I know that. Well,
you know,
that's
it's
good.
just-
What about delivery? You still deliver locally? You got a couple guys that do that. It seems like you've had the same
For
couple
years.
of fellas for a long time.
Yeah, I got three that's been with me for ages. Love them to death. They're great. Rumor has it, they always say in our business that they make the best designers because of, they just laugh, meaning if something falls over, they know how to put it back together.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, and I think there would be a little bit of pleasure in being a delivery man for Silks because typically when you ring the doorbell, somebody's going to be happy to see you.
Oh, and they love it. That's what they said. It's always so nice when you go, everybody's smiling and, oh, for me, and they're always excited. And they love the older people. They get to help them take it in and unwrap it.
Well, that's
And
good.
gives them a good feeling.
What about, two of the big things in your world have changed also, and that's weddings and funerals. But
Correct.
let's talk funerals first, then we'll go to weddings. How has the business evolved as far as the modern day funeral compared to what maybe was happening 20 years ago?
I think where that is used to be you would do a casket spray because everybody would have the 2 or 3 day visitation. We would do the casket spray, you could anywhere from, $150 to $300 or whatever. Where now, with cremation so popular, you might do a $60 dozen roses. In its place, but still just as nice, but it just is, the thing is, there's not the casket now, there's not the big services or the visitations like they used to have.
Oh,
So
yeah.
things are just scaled down some.
Well, it used to be a couple of days worth of visitations, and
Oh, yeah.
everybody's sending flowers to the funeral home and whatever. And
Yep, where that's probably the biggest change.
yeah, what about weddings? You still do some weddings, or
We still do
what
weddings.
do people do about flowers for weddings nowadays?
A lot of them do their own now, as opposed to back in the day. There was, people like the centerpieces and all the decorations and things. Where things now, the quart jar is very popular with baby's breath in it. So, that's a lot of people can do that on their own. I think we're just more of a relaxed, carefree society now. you know, people don't always like the quality or the elegance, as opposed to now we're just a little bit more kickback and laid back.
Yeah, I think there was a time when, you know, the white tablecloths were important and candles on the table, where now it...
kind of a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Yeah. Used to dress when you went out, you know, for dinner. You'd enjoy it, where now it just isn't.
You go any place you want, and at
tennies
least two people have their ball caps on.
Exactly.
I know that.
Exactly.
Well, what's the most challenge? I mean, you've been in the business a long time. I mean, you started delivering at 16, then designing, and then you bought the company when you were 31 years old. You've been in it. You've seen a lot of changes, but what's probably the most challenging aspect for Chuck Currier, business owner? What's the most challenging part about?
I think a lot of it now is like any business. It's what you buy, how much you buy. You just have to think more. Will I sell it? Where before you could you weren't afraid to take that gamble. You know, I don't think you have as much exposable income. You know, so you have to be a little more careful, a little more cautious.
With
Do your
supplies,
research.
especially when you know they're coming via Miami and Metro Airport or whatever, that if you order the wrong thing or too much of it,
it's either
you're
going to go
stuck.
in the right or it's going in the dumpster. But
do you keep records that keep track of after all these years, or you just know off the top of your head, it's Valentine's Day, I'm going to sell this many roses?
Nope. Before I came, I was working on my records from Valentine's Day. I keep extensive records. And, well, take, for instance, Valentine's Day. If it's Monday through Thursday, they're great, because men love to send it to their spouses or significant other to place of business. When it falls on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, they're more apt to go out to dinner, that type of thing. So through my records and things, we always know it's great. Monday through Thursday, it's a sure hit. Order more, but now I'll know to cut back.
Now
The
next
next
year,
3
well,
years.
we were just on Thursday.
Thursday,
What's next year going to be?
So we're going to have to cut back a little bit.
'Cause it'll
Friday,
be-
we still do okay.
Yeah.
But Saturday and Sunday, the next 2 years, then we'll cut back some, because we know we just won't sell as much.
Well, that's interesting.
And I do that with every holiday. You kind of watch where it...
How about, you know, there's always challenges with every business. What do you like the best? What gives you the most satisfaction of owning your particular business?
Just still loving what I do. You know, just being able to go in, and I'm one of the few people that can say, I just love it yet. You know, being able to create and, you know, to work with beautiful things and watch it go out the door and have the guys come back and give you a report if they liked it or not, or, you know, working with the people.
Do you see, do you have a target like 5 years from now or 10 years that you may retire, or do you like that business well enough you'll probably hang on as long as you're healthy?
Well, I don't want to retire completely,
Yeah.
but I'll be 62 in May, and I am thinking maybe 65, but yet I'm not ready. You know, if I did retire, I'd still have to do something, but I should look, I guess, if I'm going to put it on the market someday. But right now, I still love going in, so
Well, that's good.
I hate to think of that, I guess.
Who's been influential to you in your life?
I've just been so fortunate. Business-wise, it would be Howard Silk. He was just a remarkable person when it come, very talented in what he taught me. You know, I'll always be grateful to him. But just being raised here in town, just to look, I've had the privilege of working there since 16. I got to meet a lot of neat residents here, and a lot of them are gone now and that. But I hate to mention names because there's just so many.
Because you'll forget two or three.
Right, and to watch these older people come in and watch, you think, gosh, look what they do for a living, and I wish I could do that, or just how nice what they gave back to their community, and that. It's just pretty neat.
Well, you know, by all measures, you have a very nice business, but it's a small, probably would be considered a mom and pop type organization compared to some people in your business, or especially in the suburbs, where you're doing big events and whatever. Have you ever had any regrets about maybe not going big time in the city? And
Never. No, the bigger the business, the more the headaches, as far as I'm concerned. You know, and this has been doable. I, you know, can handle it. It's enjoyable. And
well, and for a kid that was born on the corner of 4th and Trumbull, lived on the corner of 7th and Trumbull, and now has spent your career at 9th and Clinton, probably it'd take a cannon to get you out of town anyway.
I think so, yeah. I love it here.
You know, there's a lot of action. Marine City's, you know, really had a rebirth with their downtown area.
Wonderful.
St. Clair is now going through it as the inn is progressing rapidly, and there's new businesses springing up throughout St. Clair. And a lot of people will drive through, and they'll stop, and they might have lunch, or they'll watch the boats go by, or they'll sit in the park. But if someone said to you, why would I ever want to live in St. Clair? Could you give us a 30-second commercial on living in St. Clair?
Well, I don't know why they wouldn't want to live here.
Yeah.
Like I said, I was fortunate to be born and raised here. It's just what we have, just the park alone, the people, you know, people that's been here, they're just so wonderful. And we do have so many things. I say, well, what is there to do? We'll read the paper. You know, you have your art center. You know, half the people don't know there's a gallery there that you can buy things. Just the different, you know, musical things that go on. The PAC Center. There is things to do here if you want it. Just a great community. I mean, it's safe. You don't hear crime here, I don't think.
No, not.
If it is, not that I know of.
Yeah.
It's just, and I've had the experience. Listen to me, I was born and raised here. Bring your kids, do it, try it. It'd be wonderful.
Well, for our audience at home, you've just been listening to Chuck Currier, the owner of Silks Floral on the corner of 9th and Clinton. Longtime resident, very popular booster for our area, and his business, like so many others, have really changed with the technology over the last 20 years or so. But if you're in need of anything and for anyone special in your life, check out Silks. You will be amazed, and you might get a chance to meet some of those delivery drivers that refuse to give up the job. My understanding is there's a waiting list of guys that would like to deliver flowers for Silks, but the guys that do it aren't quitting anytime soon. On behalf of Cable Channel 6, Paul Dingerman, WatchCTV.org, thanks for watching today's conversation with Chuck Currier. Thanks, Chuck, for being here.
Thank you.
You've been watching Conversations with Tom Shorkey. Conversations explores the past, the present, and the future of the communities in which we live through the eyes of interesting individuals. If you have an idea for a future conversation, please contact us at www.watchctv.org. Thanks for watching Conversations with Tom Shorkey.